dry and arid Karoo thornfelt. Screened by this beautiful acacia sweet thorn, I'm trying to find a way to get closer to this breeding colony of lesser flamingos. These are difficult birds to approach at the best of times. It is said that there are some 90,000 birds breeding here. This is one of 4 successful colonies in the whole of Africa and one of 6 lesser flamingo breeding colonies in the whole world. And as we approach, the attendant adult birds take off, heading to forage somewhere else. I edge my way closer and closer to this group of 200 or 300 juveniles aged between 3 and 6 months old. They form these little creches on the edge of the pan where they can get access to good wind flow to exercise their growing wings and learn the trade of being and becoming a flamingo. There are always some adults in attendance. The adult gives way for a clumsy juvenile landing. And these youngsters, they have but one purpose and one intention now, and that is to become a creature that takes to the air, that flies.
At this point, the wildebeest had largely finished calving, and these little juveniles are really prolific in amongst the herds of adults. The parent animals seem to have a somewhat relaxed approach to parenting. And you see a lot of calves that get detached or lost from their mothers. We came into contact with this female cheetah with the 3 cubs. She's obviously looking for an opportunity to get to one of the little calves, and she began to stalk up on the opposite side of this moving herd. The little calf angles away from its mother and she comes in. Aiming for one, aborting, aiming for another, and getting cut off by an adult that fends her off. And the cheetah once again running back to the young. Wildebeest flee, their numbers still intact, and I guess they won the bout this morning. The fish in question are a huge family called the Cichlids, and they've really made Lake Malawi their home. They've colonized every square meter of usable habitat in this lake. It turns out that the cichlids are divided into different groups, and at first glance there's just a myriad of different species. They're all really closely related, but quite diverse in color and shape. They do have things in common. They all look after their young, and the vast majority of them are actually mouth brooders. There are ones that feed on the surface of the bare rock. There are ones that live in the crevices. There are different species of fish near the surface, away from the rocks. This particular fish seemed to be one of the more common. So we could already see quite a big range of colors, and it'll be a real treat to get to know these fish a bit better in the coming days. Yesterday we were out at Tumbi Island, and now we're on the mainland. And you can see the rocks of Otter Point. This is the area that I ended up in. There was a whole different set of cichlid species in these areas, starting with the mouths of these caves. Interestingly enough, the striped zebra that we saw at Tumbi West is manifest in this coloration just across the bay at Otter Point. It's the same species, but a completely different looking fish. Other cichlids actually feed on the fins of their fellow species, and in this case you'll see this fish has a chunk missing from its tail fin as it turns here.
About a year ago, we started with only 3 dogs here in the Kakanika area. About 6 months after that, 6 young individuals, obviously a breakaway from another pack further to the south, headed up into this northern Kakanika area, and we saw the joining of these 2 groups, the start of a new pack of wild dogs. The interaction was quite unusual, very much trying to establish who the alpha male and alpha females were, and they were a little bit directionless. You can still see there's a little bit of confusion in terms of dominance and who really is in charge. To our surprise, it looked like 1, possibly 2 of the females in this group are actually pregnant. It's the beginning of a new family, a new pack. Within the next month, I'm sure that these dogs are going to have a den, and it's going to be up to us to try and find them. It'd be amazing to watch a generation of wild dogs grow up in this area.